Welcome to this course where we are going to dive into the scholarship application process. This is a very introduction of the course that we are going to be offering now, and the focus is essentially on the process of applying for a scholarship. For most of you who are joining this particular course, there is a very high chance that this is your first time that you're applying for a scholarship, and therefore, I am going to take you through a step-by-step process for you to understand what is required when you are first making an application for a scholarship. I'm working under the assumption that most of the people that are on this particular course, they have never applied for a scholarship before in their life, or they don't know much about a scholarship. So I'm going to go through the very basics when it comes to the process of applying for a scholarship. And I'm hoping that by the end of this course, in a couple of weeks, you should be able to have that deep dive in terms of understanding of what a scholarship is. And then later, there's an advanced course where we get to the application of the documents. How do you write them? That's also another different course that I'm offering for those that are going to be interested. I'm going to encourage you that if you have never applied for a scholarship ever in your life, you start with this particular course, because this particular course is the one that's going to give you more information about how and what you're supposed to do when it comes to applying for scholarships. So let's get to the basics. What is a scholarship? So for you to understand a scholarship, you need to look at it as a financial assistance that is awarded to students based on a specific criteria. So it's not just open, it is an assistance that is given upon students mostly, or potential students, meeting a particular criteria. And these are some of the things that are going to be in part of that criteria. The very first thing that is likely going to be in most of the scholarship has to do with academic merit. A good number of the scholarships that are going to be out there, they are going to consider the grades that a student has. And normally, as most of you already know, the grades are going to be split in three categories. There is going to be what is considered a distinction, there's going to be what is considered a credit, and then there's going to be a pass, with a distinction being on the higher side with students that demonstrate that they are good academically. Credits the people that are somewhere in between a pass and a distinction. So you're able to demonstrate that you are somebody who is really strong, but at the same time, you also have weaknesses in terms of your transcript. And then a pass is usually people that normally just barely passed through. So that is one of the things that, in terms of the academic merit, they are going to be looking at. I have to mention that they just don't look at one particular element, it's a combination of various factors. So the fact that you have a degree with a pass should not discourage you from applying for a scholarship, because it's a matrix of various things that they are going to be looking at. The second thing is financial need. So there are scholarships that are particularly focusing on people who should be able to demonstrate that they have a financial need. It's not all scholarships that are going to require of you to demonstrate that you have a financial need, because there are some scholarships that are particularly just focusing on academic merit and leadership or talent, and they are not really interested in academic merit. And then there are others that make it very clear that this scholarship is designed particularly for people with a financial need. So those people then will have to be able to demonstrate that they have that financial need. Then there is the element of leadership. Leadership in this sense is understood as influence. So people that have been able to demonstrate that they have some sort of influence. And that influence is looking at the potential that you have to lead in the future. And they are also looking at some of the things that you have been able to do currently that demonstrate that you are somebody who can lead. So this can be something that you can demonstrate based on the positions you have held as a student. You might have been your head boy, might have been a head girl, or you might have been a prefect, or the various leadership positions that your secondary school or your university was able to provide. So they look at that as also a demonstration of leadership. Beyond you holding a position of leadership, there are some people that have been able to have an influence without necessarily holding a leadership position. Those are also some of the things that are considered. So when you're looking at leadership, have a fluid understanding of it as something that is not just limited to a position, but is looking at it from influence. The last thing is talent, talent, talent. So there are some scholarships that will make it very clear that they are looking for people that are talented in different fields. So there are athletic scholarships that are provided to people that have demonstrated that they have a gift either in playing tennis, football, netball, basketball, any of the other sports that you can think of. There are others that are also going to be provided to people that are in the creative industry. So if you're a good musician, you're a pianist, you're a keyboardist, you play drums, and you're good at it, you may also be provided a scholarship because on that particular talent. So if you're looking at scholarship, have that broad understanding in mind that it's not just your grades, it's not just financial need. There is also a combination of leadership or talent. There are different forms of scholarships, and the three are the ones that I've just mentioned that you should take notice of. The first one is a merit based scholarship. So, with merit based scholarships, they are often awarded for outstanding academics, artist, or athletic achievement. So, in short, when you're looking at merit based, the key thing here is achievement. So you have achieved in your academics, you have very strong grades, then you are provided that particular scholarship. You are an outstanding artist, then you're given that particular scholarship. You are an athlete, you have who has achieved some awards. We have been able to demonstrate creativity and that you're a genius. Then you are provided with that particular scholarship. The second category is need based scholarship. With need based scholarships, these are provided to students who have demonstrated a financial need. And often they are going to be asking you to write a statement. They are going to ask sometimes for your bank details and all sorts of information that just demonstrates that you're somebody who cannot afford to pay for this opportunity. Then there is a partial and full scholarship. With partial scholarship, they cover specific expenses. So you get money that maybe is just going to provide with your living expenses, or they're going to just pay for tuition, but they're not going to cover the other bits. And that's also something that you have to be aware about. And then there are full scholarships. These will cover everything. They'll cover tuition, accommodation, travel, and stipend that you get every other month. So, with the different forms of these scholarships that I've just highlighted, I want you to have this at the back of your mind when you're making the scholarship application or when you're beginning this journey of searching for scholarship. Why should you bother to go through all these things that I've just mentioned to get a scholarship? Number one, it reduces the financial burden on education. Not many people can afford to pay for higher education or even bachelor's education because most of the people, they are brilliant, yes, but they do not come from families that have money and wealth. And as we rightly know, that education now is a commodity and the prices now are very prohibitive. So therefore, it becomes very important that when you find a scholarship, you take very much advantage of it because it reduces that burden that could have otherwise been there if you were the one who was paying for the opportunity yourself. The when you look at issues of money and the benefits in that particular sense, it's something that is straightforward. The second thing is it also provides access to prestigious universities and resources. With a scholarship, you are one person who is going to be given access to resources that are provided by a scholarship. Most of the scholarship are going to have some sort of extra program. So it could be a leadership program that gives you access to those resources. And a number of scholarships also, they target people that are going to be going to prestigious universities, again, most of which you couldn't have afforded to go to. But now that you have a scholarship and they're settling in the tuition, they'll settle your travel and all the other expenses, you have that opportunity to then attend that prestigious institution. Scholarships also open doors to professional networks and mentorship opportunities. A good number of the scholarships, again, they focus on building leadership and therefore they are building mentorship programs. They are also building networking and opportunities, which you allow you to network with people within your current cohort, people from different programs, and scholarships. They provide an opportunity for you to do that. So even though you can afford to pay for the education, it also becomes very useful for you to be able to consider a scholarship because it gives you that element of that mentorship and that element of professional networking. It also enhances your CV by showcasing how competitive you are and also some of the achievements. The reality is, people who get a scholarship are people who are brilliant, are people who demonstrate that they have gone through a rigorous assessment process. And having gone through that rigorous assessment process, they have been found to be people who are worthy to be invested in. So therefore, if you're somebody that has gotten a scholarship before, it demonstrates again your leadership, it demonstrates your achievement, it demonstrates your brilliance. And therefore, most of the people, even though they can afford to pay, they'll go for a scholarship because of that stamp of approval that you get when you get a scholarship. The last one is that it also enables personal and professional growth through exposure to diverse cultures. Most of the scholarships, especially the global ones, they are going to be having cohorts from across the world. And when you're having a scholarship that has cohorts from across the world, obviously you're going to be learning about different cultures, you're going to be meeting different people, you're also going to be exposed to global networks, which is where the element of personal growth comes in. Because with most of the scholarships, because you're not going to be exposed to people from basically just your country alone or from your village alone, you are basically forced to engage with the entire world, with people that are coming from different backgrounds. And this then makes scholarships to be a worthwhile investment because then you are learning a lot about not just in classroom, but also the cultures which are there. Let's look at the scholarship providers. So we have an overview of common scholarship providers, and they have put them in two categories. They are global providers, and global in the sense that they take people from across the world and then to be able to study in their different countries. And then there are other providers that are also providing for scholarships. So in terms of the global providers, you have scholarships like Chevening that gets people from across the world who are able to come and study in the UK. You also have the Commonwealth that is not only limited to people studying in the UK, there are also various other partnerships that are there, and you can study in different countries. You have Erasmus that is focusing on EU. Then you have DAAD, which focuses on people studying in Germany, and then you have Fulbright that focuses on people studying in the United States. What makes these programs global is that they are tapping from across the world, and the people are going to be studying in these particular countries, but the talent pool that they're able to get is across. And there's something about these particular scholarships that I've just mentioned that makes them to be prestigious because they are often getting the best of the best from their countries, from the different countries rather, to be able then to come and study in the US or in the UK or in Germany and then to go back. So if you're somebody who is now associated with these particular scholarships, you also rise from the group to become part of those people that are in that top category. There are other providers as well. Universities have been known to provide scholarships, some that are offered directly through institutions, and that is also an option that you have to start looking at. There are non-governmental organizations that are offering scholarships, private companies, and foundations. And at the moment, there are many foundations that are stepping into the direction of providing for scholarships. So there are many providers out there in the world. I know that if many of you may know just a few, the ones that I've just mentioned, but I can assure you that the scholarship pool There are a lot of opportunities. They are not. It's not just limited to the ones that I've just mentioned. And then types of scholarships. Again, I'm going to look at it from academic level and by focus area, and then also specialized scholarships. So we have the different forms that I've just mentioned, and then these are the types. The first one is there are scholarships that are targeting people that are doing undergraduate studies. And one of the common questions that I often get is there scholarships for undergraduate studies? The answer is yes. There are many of them because most of the institutions, the foundations, and so on and so forth, they're developing programs that are targeting people that are graduating from secondary school, but then cannot afford to pay for university education. They do understand that for most governments, especially in the continent of Africa, in as much as secondary school is expensive for some, but when it comes to university, the cost skyrockets, maybe like 4 or 5 times or 6 times. So therefore, they have also developed undergraduate scholarships. And these undergraduate scholarships are not just for international, locally as well. There are those that have been put in place. Then we have those for a master's, and then we have those for research or for a doctoral program. So there are scholarships at different levels. Then there's by focus area, there's academic excellence, which is something that I've already talked about. Then there's research, there's leadership, there's sports and art. So there are different focus areas that also they're able to provide scholarships. Number three is by specialized scholarships. So you have scholarships that are particularly focusing on women in STEM. We have scholarships that are focusing on refugees, or focusing on people from underrepresented regions or communities. So you also have to be very much aware about that. That when it comes to scholarships and the types, there is that level of intersection where there is an element of academic level and focus area and also specialization. I am going to finish with an activity, which is something that I'm going to challenge you to do. And please do this particular activity before you move to the next video, because this activity is going to help you to begin to have a different level of understanding when it comes to scholarship. So the thing that I would like you to do is I want you, when you have time, I want you to write down your academic and your career goals. You know where you would want to go with your life. You know the desire that you have in terms of achievement, what you want to achieve at the end of the day. You know yourself. And I want you to sit down and I want you to write those. Don't rush this process. You can take the whole of this week to do that before you watch the video that's coming next week. Write down your academic goals, write down your career goals. How broad do they have? They can be as broad as possible. Think about what you want to achieve next year. Think about what you want to achieve in the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and then up until you retire. Just write down all those in terms of academic goals and in terms of career goals. And if I were you, I would actually even split it where I have a section where I just write about academic goals. And then I have a section where I write a career goals. And an academic goal can be a simple thing like, I want to get a distinction next semester. It could be, I want to graduate with a distinction, or I want to do a master's, I want to do a PhD, something along those lines. And I want to do a PhD in biomedical sciences or stuff of that. And then you can also start to write about what kind of career do you want to have. I want to be a researcher, I want to be a banker, I want to be a change maker. I want to be somebody who is in climate change. So write all those things down and get to the detail as much as possible. Then, once you write all these things down, I want you to then identify 2 or 3 potential scholarships that aligns with your career goals and your academic achievements as well. Once you write your career goals and your academic goals, you identify 2 or 3 scholarships that are aligned with that. And then take note of those scholarships, because as we are going through this particular series, you're going to notice that a lot of things are going to start to make sense in terms of the requirements. And then we can even start, you can even start making the applications. But you're going to be making applications to scholarships that are not just outside of any other field, but they're scholarships that align with what you're looking for. So here's the last thing that you have to think about. Number one is that scholarships are diverse and they cater to different needs and qualifications. Scholarships are not only limited to one area. That is the thing that I want you to understand. The second thing is I want you to understand that your academic goals, they help in identifying the right opportunities. So by highlighting your academic goals, which is something that I've talked about, it is going to help you to start aligning with the right kind of opportunities that are there. The last thing is there are scholarships available for everyone. Research and persistence is key. Every person can get a scholarship, even if you graduated with a pass. And I'll keep repeating this. Even if you graduated with a pass, you can get a scholarship. There is a scholarship that's there for you. You just have to conduct the research to be able to find it. So thank you so much. I hope that you found this video useful. And in the next video, I am going to dive into something different, but it's going to be building up on this particular foundation. Looking forward to seeing you soon again.